All right, we're back. And like I've said before, we have support for One-on-One with CG, which is brought to you by Manscaped. The Performance Package 4.0 has arrived, and oh man, is it a game changer. Their Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner will change the way you approach your hygiene routine. Trust me when I say this, fellas, your balls will be thanking you. I'm telling you, I love the toner and the deodorant. Nothing means more to me than just smelling good coming out of the shower with these products. And it's night and day. So get on the Manscaped program. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code WITHCG at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com. Use the code WITHCG, WITHCG. Always unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the right job with Manscaped. Running up, baby, onto the episode. Let's go. All right, we're back on the podcast, and I've got one of Las Vegas's biggest entertainers on the airwaves today. He's a current in-arena host for the Las Vegas Raiders and Vegas Golden Knights, the host and ring announcer for Top Rank Boxing on ESPN, and all I've got to say is it's nighttime, baby. Mark Shunock, welcome on the podcast.
Let's go. Thanks for having me on, dude. Great to be here.
It's been a minute, man. How's everything been? How's life? I know you're one of the busiest guys I know, always hustling. How's things been?
It's been great. Listen, Vegas is on fire. I'm rocking my Life is Beautiful hat. Life is Beautiful was here last weekend. iHeart was this weekend. Vegas is on fire right now, literally. It's still 90 degrees, and hockey season is starting. So it's just a cool time to be in Vegas, and busy, but busy's good.
Busy's great, and you're doing what you love. You got so many things going on, and I want to touch on everything. So why don't we start with the Raiders first? Raider Nation, baby. How like I know the season just started for you guys. How is the city like buzzing like crazy that football's back? How's everything with the Raiders and football?
Yeah, I think the NFL obviously is our biggest sport in this country, and football season is football season. That goes without saying. Wings on Sunday, plopping down in front of a TV. Not the greatest start for our boys, but that's okay. We'll bounce back. Allegiant Stadium is probably the premier football stadium in the country. So, every Sunday that I get to spend in that building is really kid in a candy store.
It really is. And I'm going to touch on that experience being in there. But, you guys have one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL with Derek Carr. I want to know, how has it been spending time with him off the field? How is he as just a guy and just getting to know him?
Yeah, he's a great guy, and one of the things that I will say about every one of our current roster players, our marquee players especially, they've embraced Las Vegas, and they've gone above and beyond to support various causes in the community. And Carr's the same way. You see him all over the place at charity events and fundraisers. And I think the city has embraced the Raiders, and the organization clearly has made an impact in the nonprofit sector. That's for sure. They're constantly giving back in ways that a lot of people don't really hear about. We sort of focus on the football on Sundays, which is, rightfully so. That's why they're here. They're here to win football games. But the impact that the organization has had on the community has been felt all over the place. And I think it's just a testament to who these guys are off the field.
Right, no doubt. And something I noticed is that Raider fans are really passionate. They love their football, as you know.
Putting it mildly, bro.
Oh, they're spicy, dude. So
Yeah.
I mean, I want to say, I think that the Raiders have the upper hand when it comes to home field advantage with home games. I mean, they have you guys, Vegas has one of the best crowds when it comes to the Knights, Raiders, and everything else. How much is it like benefit you think the Raiders having that the Raider Nation behind them at Allegiant Stadium?
Well, I think that's everything. I think that goes without saying. And they travel. We opened the season against the Chargers in LA, and it was a home game for the Raiders. At the end of the day, though, they got to perform on the field, and they got to execute. And it's been a rough start, but Raider Nation are diehard fans, man, and they turn out, and they'll continue to turn out. And we'll hopefully can get this season on track next week, or this coming Sunday against Denver at home. It's a pretty special place to come and watch a football game. And like you said, the tailgating that goes into the Raider Nation is unlike anything I've ever seen. This fan base is insane, and we've got a cast of characters there. Guys that have been lifelong diehard Raider fans that dress up, and they're just as important to the team as anybody else. So it's a cool fan base for sure, and they definitely bring it.
Absolutely. And I think the past two games, they were pretty close. You guys, were not far off from winning the games. But
Yeah, they've been some tight games, but at the end of the day, you
you
gotta
got to,
find a way to win.
no doubt.
That's our motto: just win, baby. And we got to find a way to pull it off. We got to find a way to do it.
Right. And, being the in arena host for the Raiders, you get to fire up 65,000 people in Allegiant Stadium. Not the average guy can do that. How's that experience for you? What's the feeling like being center field and just getting people going?
It's awesome. There's really nothing like it. You're standing on the 50 right below the shield. And the Game Pres team led by Brad Finney and Justin Casserly, they're fantastic to work for. And there's always surprises at a Raiders game. It's definitely not your traditional football game. And like I said, I'm just honored to play a small piece to that puzzle and help get those fans going. But they don't really need a lot of help. They're, like we were just talking about, they're diehards, and I'm just there to tell them it's okay to get loud when the time is appropriate.
Well, I believe you're a big part. That's how I feel about it.
I appreciate that.
Right, man. Let's transition into the Vegas Golden Knights. What's your thoughts on this upcoming year? I mean, September's here. Training camp has started. What's your thoughts on the Vegas Golden Knights? How has it been getting back into things with the organization?
It's going to be great. I think the guys are still carrying last season on their shoulder, right? And that's always a good thing. We should have made the playoffs last year. We should have competed for a Stanley Cup, and we didn't. So I think the guys are going to bring that into this season. And, I'm not making excuses for anybody. Everybody's talked about injuries and what that meant to last season. But at the end of the day, these guys need to be healthy. I think the long summer is going to work to our advantage. And camp so far has been fantastic. And we're seeing a lot of great young rookies in the lineup and during the preseason. And I'm just looking forward to October 13th when we drop the puck for real. It's a special time. Me, I'm a Canadian hockey junkie, man. I love the game, and there's so much going into the preparation for this season from an entertainment standpoint, and making the games unique as they've always been, and such a key part to come into a Golden Knights game. I think the game presentation team at the Golden Knights have set the bar so high since season one that other teams look to the Golden Knights to see what we're doing, and they take from that and create stuff. And that's always a compliment to the group that's here behind the scenes, putting game pres together. But, as a kid from Canada, there's nothing better than, training camp into preseason into the regular season. It's a cool time of year. And then you find that rhythm, man. You find that groove. I think the guys are going to compete just as much as they have in year one and year two. I think we're going to have a great season, and fingers crossed they stay healthy and we get it done.
Right. And I think the beautiful thing is that, the Knights have a chance to win every year with the talent they have. But one thing I noticed is that you guys got a new head coach in Bruce Cassidy, former Bruin head coach. How has it been, I don't know if you met him yet, but, how's it been getting to know him if you have already? But how's the city feel about him coming in?
I've had the chance to just have a couple casual conversations in passing at the office. Great guy. And I think anytime you need a spark and a change, obviously in hockey, that's sort of what happens with the coach. And I think he's the right fit, man. I think we're going to see a lot of his methods and systems in place that the players will embrace. And, again, fingers crossed. I'm just a hype guy and a host. I'm always focused on entertainment, but I know the game, and I think he brings a lot to the table. And TBD, it's the $1 million question, right? Like, are we going to see improvements in certain facets of the game that we need to see improvements on? Yeah, I think so. So we'll see. I'm really excited for this season, and I know the players are as well. And I think that's half the battle, right? You got to be excited to go to work. And I think the team, the entire organization is excited. Like I said, last year was a disappointment. First year not making the playoffs, and hey, we've been lucky. We've been spoiled for 4 of the 5 seasons to make Stanley Cup playoff runs. So we need to get back to those winning ways.
I agree with you. And I think he's a good fit for the organization. There's 2 players I want to bring up. You've had some people let go in the organization, some coming back in. Adin Hill. Unfortunately, Robin Leonard went down. It's tough to see, but you guys traded for Adin Hill. I spent time with my buddy over this summer, Matt Nieto. He plays for the San Jose Sharks. Adin just came from San Jose. He had some good things to say about him. He said he's a beauty. He's great with his teammates, great locker room guy, 6'6", big kid. I think he's going to make a good impact in your organization. I don't think he's had a lot of help around him in his past, two former teams with Arizona and San Jose. You guys have a ton of talent from the forwards, defense. And this is a good time in his career, I think, to make a good impact on the organization. I truly believe that. What's your thoughts on that big trade with Aiden?
I think anytime you trade for a goalie and that position is so prominent in the sport, it's such an important role. You want to start with a good guy, right? And skill set, we can put that aside for a second. And I think the way you started the conversation about him is that he's a great guy. He's great in the locker room. And I think that's for somebody who played that role. I played that position growing up as a kid in Ontario. It's important that you have a great head on your shoulders and you bring something to the locker room. And I think that speaks volumes. At the end of the day, man, you got to stop the puck. And to your point, I think our defensive core in front of him is sound. We have a great defensive core on our team, and I think he's going to fit right in. And again, that big TBD, right? When it comes to execution and play, that's it's not my department, it's theirs, and we can only support them and hope that they bring the best and we get it done. But I'm excited to have him on the team, and I think he's going to help us out tremendously this season.
Totally agree with you. Another guy I want to bring up is Phil the Thrill, Phil Kessel. I think this is a cool signing. 1-year deal gives him an opportunity to see if he can prove himself in the organization to maybe get a contract. He's got guys like Jack Eichel, Marshall Salt, Mark Stone, Riley Smith. There's a lot of star power around him. He could be inserted in the power play. I don't think he had a lot to work with in Arizona. Clayton Keller was one guy. In Pittsburgh, he won. He had a lot of success with Crosby, Malkin, Letang. But he's got a lot of help around him now being with Vegas. I think he's going to have a huge year. What's your thoughts on Phil coming in?
100% agree with you. I think it's a huge get. It was the signing of the offseason, in my opinion. I think our fans are in for a treat. This is a veteran player who knows how to win. And again, an incredible guy in the locker room. No nonsense, comes to work, gets it done, still has a great time. But the fact that he's been down the road and has won multiple cups and has just been a gem in the league, and for us to have him in Vegas, whether it's a year or 5 more years, who knows? It's a blessing for this hockey community to be able to watch him 41 times at home this year is going to be outstanding. Obviously he's got this amazing record going, never missing hockey games, so knock on wood that keeps going. But I think this was the signing of the season for us, and I think he's gonna contribute in ways that most don't expect. And it may not show up on the score sheet, but his contribution to the Vegas Golden Knights is going to be felt almost immediately, and it probably already has at camp. Like, I've been able to watch some of the practices and stuff, and just seeing him out there and seeing the way other guys are around him says all you need to know. He's just a super strength in the league, and he's a Vegas Golden Knight. So what more can you say? It's a huge signing, and I think it's going to pay dividend as long as he's here. It will be a benefit to our organization for sure.
I agree. I'm calling it that he's going to have a huge year because, look, he's got one of the best home crowds in the NHL in T-Mobile Arena. That makes a difference. He didn't have it in AZ.
100%, dude. He's gonna put up points without question. He's surrounded by incredible talent on this team. On paper, our team is outstanding. Again, big TBD on what happens on the ice.
Right.
Management can only do so much. Coaches can only do so much. Players got to play. Players got to put out. They got to show the results that they're paid and hired to do. And
right.
I think this team is as strong on paper as we've ever had. And let's see what happens, man. We're gonna be behind them all the way. We've got some cool stuff planned on the entertainment side this season. We're going to make sure that building stays loud and proud. And I just can't wait to see these guys play for real on the 13th. It's going to be an exciting time.
Right. I agree. I love the moves from the organization this summer. I want to move into the Winter Classic. I know you did, you hosted outdoor, not in arena. It's an outdoor game you hosted with the Blues at the Wild. Are you doing the Fenway one this year with the Bruins and Penguins by chance?
I've been with the league now. The NHL's hired me for, I think, 5 seasons. Ever since I started with the Golden Knights, I started with the NHL, doing all their major events, the Winter Classic, Stadium Series, All-Star Weekend.
Okay.
So, usually they send out the schedule when the dates are locked in. I haven't heard from the league yet, but Kid in a candy store, even more there.
Right.
Notre Dame Stadium was one that I'll never forget. That was incredible to be able to walk that stadium and play a hockey game there. It's just a unique thing. And if it ever comes through your town to people watching, it is definitely something to take in and be a part of. It's, John Vaccaro, who's the head of production for the NHL, in our pre-shift meeting before we go out and start the game, he even tells the crew and the local crew that's working with the league just to, hey, take a minute for yourself, take it all in, because it's not something you see every day. The league does such an incredible job with those outdoor games, growing the game and putting 60 to 80,000 people in a football stadium or baseball stadium watching a hockey game. It's one of the coolest things. So if it does happen to pass through your town, grab a ticket, because it's a pretty unique experience. And like I said, man, kid in a candy store. I'm in a football field or a baseball field hosting a hockey game, and there's really nothing like it.
Nothing like hosting a game at T-Mobile Arena with Vegas, and then
No,
going
hey,
to the
listen,
outdoors like that.
we blow the roof off the place. T-Mobile gets incredibly loud, but there's also some incredible hockey cities. The Nashville
Yeah,
Predators. If you've ever been to a game in Nashville, they do an incredible job as well, and they get really loud, and their fan base is incredibly passionate. But for a city that's had a team now going into its sixth season, it's pretty impressive what our fan base has brought to the table. And I know Vegas gets a bad rap around the league a lot, but that's okay. That'll sort of dissipate over the years. We have some incredibly knowledgeable fans here in Vegas, a lot of Canadian transplants like myself, and our fan base is badass, and they bring it every game. They know what they're walking into, and they know what's at stake. And I think having the season we had last year, I think our fans will be even motivated that much more to help our guys this year, because it was such a letdown, being almost top of the division in February, and then not making the playoffs. That was a shock to a lot of people and major disappointment. So it's behind us now, and we'll walk into T-Mobile fresh. But those outdoor games with the league are pretty badass, man. They're a lot of fun.
I agree, and it's always a playoff atmosphere at T-Mobile any day of the week, which I love. Um,
It's a party. The
it's a
party to
party.
go
It
to the game.
is. It's like it's
Yeah.
Hakkasan in hockey. I've always said. So I want to move into another subject, and that's Top Rank Boxing. Here's another gig you're doing. How much fun has it been, hosting and ring announcing for Top Rank Boxing on ESPN?
That's the cream of the crop. They came to a Vegas Golden Knights hockey game. Todd DeBuff, who runs the organization, and Brad Jacobs, they were at a hockey game, and they were like, "Hey, let's get that guy." And I was just a fan of the sport at the time. This is now going on 5 years that I've been with the organization. But like anybody else, I'd be the pay-per-view buyer, or I'd try to go to a fight when I could. This was thrown to the wolves essentially when the pandemic struck. Top Rank Boxing built a bubble here in Las Vegas to continue producing events and fights. And they knew that I was based here in Vegas, so they asked, said, "Hey, you want to come out and host some Top Rank events?" And they threw me in the ring, and rest is history. I absolutely love it. I love getting to know the fighters and learning about their story. There's really nothing like boxing on the planet, man. These guys are risking their lives to get into that ring, and the training and the discipline involved in the sport. It's not a team sport. It's you and your coaches, and you walk into that ring, and it's on. And a lot of these guys are fighting for their livelihoods. They come from not the greatest upbringing or backgrounds, or they're fighting for a way of life. And it's pretty remarkable. And the sport is it's pretty incredible to sit ringside and watch these guys go at it. So again, just spoiled and honored really to be a part of these organizations. You mentioned the Raiders, the Golden Knights, Top Rank Boxing, three premier sports organizations, and to be able to work for those three groups, again, just blessed and humbled that they include me in the family.
And I think one of the most special things for you and a kid's dream come true is to announce a fight at one of the most historic, iconic arenas in the world, Madison Square Garden. What's the feeling like being able to do that for you?
Yeah, I didn't really it didn't really sink in until fight night. And I've been back now 3 or 4 times, and we have a fight at the Hulu Theater at the Garden this October, and then we're always there in December during the Heisman week. It didn't really sink in until I got into the building. And I've been there many times for Ranger games when I lived in New York, and you look up at that iconic ceiling, and you're standing in a ring. You're like, hey man, this is going down. And it's there's nothing like it. The history of boxing in Madison Square Garden is pretty special. And to play a small role with Top Rank is again something that, yeah, I don't take for granted, and I look forward to it every time. And the entire staff and crew at MSG, they're great. They love when we're there. Uh, you know, I think what's his name? Who's the kid who sings? He just did 15 straight sold out shows at Madison Square Garden. Harry Styles, right?
Right.
Harry Styles was just there. Billy Joel's there all the time. He's setting records. Rangers are there. The Knicks are there. And so many iconic fights have been fought there. And we'll be there again this December. It's something that is truly magical. You don't take it for granted. And those are the fights you want your family there. You do your best to get all your family and friends tickets, because it's just an experience unlike anything else.
I agree with you. What an experience. There's one name I want to bring up in the boxing community right now, and then we'll move on to the next thing. This guy, I think, has made a huge impact on the boxing world as far as numbers, as far as more eyes on the sport. And I just wanted to bring up Jake Paul and see your thoughts on him. I think he's a legit fighter. I know he's kind of like moved up a rank with each fighter. I do believe he can fight, and he's done a lot of great things for the community. What's your thoughts? What's the boxing community's thoughts, and what's your thoughts, most importantly?
I can't speak for everybody. I think anybody that helps grow the sport in any sport is doing something positive. I think he's got to get in the ring now against some opponents that are, at a level that can warrant true attention. I think the only negative, and this is not even really a negative, is that he's fought UFC guys or other YouTube stars. But I agree with you. The kid clearly has talent, and he's being groomed. His team around him is doing a great job. I don't think it's any different than a professional boxer that's signed to any of the major promotional companies. They're groomed. They're put into fights that are strategically planned for them, so that they're growing their skill set in a way that is moving them up the ranks. And I think Jake's doing the same things. He's fighting guys that he knows he can beat or handle. And then, the talent becomes more and more, or the competition becomes more and more competitive as he evolves. But I think to put it bluntly, he has a ton of followers, and his followers are following boxing. And I think that's an absolutely great thing for the sport. How long it continues, TBD. But I tip my cap to him. He loves the sport of boxing. He's committed to it. He's dedicated to it. And that's the only way you can get into boxing. You can't play at boxing, right? Like it is a combat sport, and it is the hurt business, as you hear our broadcast guys say all the time. And you'll get exposed pretty quickly if you're not prepared. And I think he's doing it right. He's training consistently, and he's fighting the right opponents at the right time. And I love his character online. I don't know him personally. I don't know what he's like behind closed doors, but what I see of him on social and on Twitter and the wars and the back and forth, I think it's great. I think it's exactly what the sport needs, and it's drawing eyes to the sport of boxing, and that's always a win.
Right. And I think playing the villain role has kind of helped him, get to where he is. Right.
Sure. And I don't think he'll be the villain much longer.
Right.
Even if he is a villain, I don't see him as a villain. I think he's playing the role of a boxer and a promoter. He's wearing a lot of hats, and that's not easy to do. The kid is absolutely crushing it and doing what he needs to do for him, his brand, his company, his promotional company. So I don't see him as a villain. I just see him as straight up as a boxer. I don't think he's any different in that regard other fighters. Everybody talks smack in the sport of boxing, and he's right up there with everybody else.
Yeah, he's just going. Well, I feel like he's going after everyone, like Dana White and all these people. He wants to be seen by many people,
Sure.
and it might get buys if you do that. What I want to know is, obviously, he's fighting Anderson Silva next month. What's your prediction on that? Who do you think will win that fight?
I don't know. I don't even know. Like, it's such an outside the box fight, right? And I think that goes back to the main critique that most people have, is that, hey, fight boxers, get in the ring against somebody who's been boxing as long as you have, or even longer. That's not to take anything away from his opponent, incredible warrior. But UFC is a completely different beast. It's a different medium altogether. It's a different training system, different training style. You got to prepare for so many different approaches. Uh, you know, I don't know. I think he'll probably win. If I were to bet, I wouldn't bet against him. That's for sure.
Right. And I did notice he went after Tommy Fury to fight him, but that didn't work out. But,
I say stay away from the Furies, man. They're not. That's a different league altogether. I think there's some great guys here in the United States that you can make some pretty solid fights against. There's a lot of incredible boxers out there that would love the opportunity to fight Jake and have an incredible marquee matchup here in this country for sure.
right, no doubt. I agree. The last thing I want to bring up today, I do have new listeners, so I want to inform the listeners about Monday's Dark. Okay, we've talked about it before, but it's important for me to bring it up again.
Yeah, thank you.
So it's a $20 variety show benefiting a different local charity, raising $10K in 90 minutes, and you raised over $1 million. I want you to touch on what's going on in present time and just about the charity that you're doing.
Yeah, so Monday's Dark is an organization that my wife and I started. It'll be 9 years ago this December. And essentially all it is a party. I throw a party on a Monday night with a full band. It's a variety show that I host. We invite headliners from the Strip. We pick a different local charity every other Monday, and that charity receives $10,000. It's our way to give back to the community. We've done about 160 of these parties so far, so we raised about 1.6 million bucks for Las Vegas. We have a huge wait list of nonprofits that want to party with us, but it's just our way of giving back. I'm so fortunate. I moved out here with a Broadway show. That's sort of my background on how I got to Vegas. I was performing in a show called Rock of Ages, and it was just sort of our way as entertainers, performers to give back. And now that I work full time in sports with the various organizations that we talked about, I leverage that platform to give back, right? And it's to me, it's the right thing to do. I have an opportunity and an obligation, I think, to my community to be able to help folks. And there's so many amazing nonprofits in Las Vegas that, again, it's just our small way of writing them a check for 10 grand and even generating awareness. Cause a lot of times the organizations we partner with aren't your household big names. And just the fact that entertainers and our Monday's Dark family tweets about it or puts it out on Instagram, it generates awareness for that group. And anything helps them, right? So we do this party every other Monday, $10,000 in 90 minutes. And anybody listening, mondaysdark.com. It's mondaysdark.com. All the information is there. It's a cool party. It's a good way to give back. And I appreciate you bringing it up because, it's a passion project. Everybody has a passion project, and ours, my wife and I and our small volunteer team at Monday's Dark, we love throwing these events, and it's a cool way for us to give back to our community.
I love that you're giving back. It's huge to do that, with the success that you have. Okay. I just want to say, man, it's always a great time catching up and talking to you. I want to inform my listeners and encourage them to go see you live with whether it's a Raiders game, a Knights game, or even a Monday's Dark show if they're in town for a Monday. So, man, you're so good at what you do. You're humble as ever as well, too, man. So I appreciate you for jumping on. Can't wait to get out to Vegas to see a game and see you again up in that castle, the fortress.
Yes, please get out there. Thanks again for having me on. Like I said, kid in a candy store, and I just keep hustling, keep moving it forward and paying it back when I can. So yeah, hit me up on social. Anybody who's watching, hit me up on social. I'll do my best to get back to you. And if you're ever at a game or a ringside, just come on up and say hello. Would love to say hey and meet everybody. But again, thanks for having me on, dude. This is so cool.
Anytime, man. Tell Bobby Bennett I said hello too.
You got it. See
All
you
right,
later.
brother. Take it easy.
Be good.